Hi, Mustafa. Thank you for your essays. Now, the first text we have here is the task one, the table, right? You said that it's more challenging for you, so let's have a look at it. What do we have here? Different items, minimums, maximums. Okay, I'm just having a look at it myself because I really have to be able to see the main trends. Okay. The table provides data on the amount of money customers in 5 countries spent on different items in 2002. Okay. Um, Customers is spelled differently. Okay. I make all my corrections in caps lock just for you to observe them easier. Customers in 5 countries spent, I wouldn't use customers. Well, it is a so synonym for the concept of buyers. I would use purchasers, or let's say just buyers, because a customer is a person who uses a service or who is, again, helped by a shop assistant, so to say. So the context is for the use of the word customer would be slightly different. Overall, the highest percentage of the expenditure in all 5 countries was on food, drinks, and tobacco, comma, while the smallest was on leisure and education. Okay. So what do we have? The highest, the opposite of highest is lowest, not smallest. Looking at the details, it is evident that among the 5 nations, Turkey spent the most on food, drink, and tobacco. Okay, nice maximum, which was slightly higher than Ireland. I would say than Ireland's um, spending habits. I'm trying to vary the vocabulary, right? Because you cannot use the word expenditure again, at 28.91, so the runner-up. This was followed by Spain, Italy, and Sweden at this, and this, respectively. Clothing and footwear comprised the second highest proportion of expenses, counting for 9% in Italy, this is the highest, and 6.63% in Turkey. It's considered a slightly bigger percentage of the expenditure in Spain than that of Ireland, with this much and that much, comma, respectively. Okay. You are mentioning almost every single percentage. On the other hand, all the countries spent the least percentage of money on leisure and education. Good observation. It made up this much and this of the expenses in Turkey, which was almost double as that in Ireland. Italy and Sweden spent a similar percentage on it. I would say, and namely, about 3.2% each, right? Because you are specifying in this case 3.2 and 3.20. In Spain, the money spent on education was approximately 2/3 of that in Italy, in Sweden. Okay, very nice, very nice. I would say that you focus on detail too much, and that's why you have 190 words. Well, it's not a bad thing that you have 197 words, but I would say try to generalize more and see the trends. Perhaps you could unify some of the things, some of the data. And I would say it would be great to have a concluding sentence, because a closure is simply necessary. It's not required according to IELTS standards, but it's a good idea to have it. So perhaps as an idea, think of reducing the amount of detail in the second paragraph, and perhaps if you reduce the amount of detail and reduce this paragraph, let's say, to 3.5 lines, then you will have a bit of space for the concluding sentence. Anyway, apart from the minor grammatical aspects and some of the vocabulary minor errors, I think this is a very good answer. I mean, just don't focus on detail too much. Okay. Uh, some people believe that people who do physical work should be paid on par with people who have high degrees. Do you agree or disagree? Okay. So let's see. How many paragraphs do we have? Beg your pardon. 4 paragraphs, right. Okay. A number of people think that workers who have physical jobs should be paid similarly to those who are highly educated and have degrees. I completely disagree and believe that doing so is impractical and will discourage people from attaining high degrees. Okay. I'm very happy that you include your stance here in the thesis statement, and you say right away that you disagree, and you bring your arguments. You think that it's impractical and will discourage people from getting higher education. But try to avoid repetitions by not saying degree twice, right? And perhaps you could provide a longer introduction and, I don't know, develop more of the preliminary to the debate, okay? The main reason I believe that highly educated individuals should be paid more is that because that will create incentives for others to pursue the same path as theirs. Great. Academics and experts who usually study for long years are the ones that drive research and create scientific innovations. Very good argument. If they were not rewarded for their effort, then they would lose the motivation to extend our existing level of knowledge and technology, and that will hinder human development. I would say which will hinder human development. I mean, what you have is comprehensible, but which will hinder is a more natural structure. Good ideas, very good ideas, but it seems to me that when you say when they would lose the motivation to extend our existing level of knowledge and technology, this, despite a very clear idea, this is not something that people would typically say or write in English, okay? Perhaps you could find another way of saying that. Moreover, degrees are becoming increasingly expensive to obtain. As a result, most people would avoid going to universities and would merely apply for a physical job if they did not. Let's avoid using contractions in essays if they did not provide any financial advantages. Okay, how about having a or is this your conclusion sentence? If yes, well, you're concluding only on the financial part. So perhaps you could conclude and say thus, and wrap up on the main idea of this paragraph. On the other hand, increasing salaries for physical workers, I think you have physical everywhere, physical here and physical workers here. Perhaps you could find another way of saying that, let's say working with one's hand, or let's say something different from this. On the other hand, increasing salaries for physical workers will harm them, as it will put a significant amount of strain on companies and push them towards closure. Increasing salaries for physical workers will harm them, will harm the workers, right? Okay. As it will put a significant amount of strain on companies. Why? I understand your words, but I don't understand the idea. I'm not sure I understand this sentence, but let me read on. Allocating a large amount of money to worker wages will not only render the businesses that employ them unprofitable, very nice language, by the way, but will also push them towards finding an alternative workforce, such as robots. Okay. Okay. I'm still thinking about this part. If you say will harm them, The first thing that comes to mind, that simply pops into my mind, is physical harm, and that's why I was so confused. So it will be detrimental. Why not using some more abstract word? For example, will be very detrimental to them, as it will put a significant strain on companies and push them towards closure, thus resulting in the actual loss of those employees. No, thus resulting in a loss of job for those employees who work only with their hands, something like this. Because it was very, very confusing. Okay, nice argument with the robots. Therefore, it is economically harmful. Okay, and we have harmful again. For most companies to raise the salaries of their laborers, okay, who usually make up the bulk of their employees. Why usually? And might cost the workers their jobs. In addition, most physical workers have minimal qualifications, so it makes sense that they're usually given less money than their better qualified colleagues. Spelling. Okay, I'm kind of lost. What's the main idea of this paragraph? Uh, the main idea of this paragraph is that if you increase salaries for physical workers, it's going to be detrimental for the workers. Okay. And then you say, in addition, and you don't develop this line of thought in any way. Okay, so I could suggest that you somehow combine the ideas and write a clear topic sentence, something like it's going to be detrimental for them because it will push the companies towards closure, and I don't even know. I mean, you really have to find a way of combining um, both ideas. Oh no, I know. On the other hand, increasing salaries for physical workers will only bring detriments. First of all, it will put a significant amount of strain on companies and push them toward closure because blah, 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 and the whole explanation. And second, as most physical workers have minimal qualifications, it makes sense that they're usually given less money, and what's the detriment? Well, getting less money. Anyway, so you see, I'm confused. This confusion shouldn't be happening. And this means that we're losing somewhere in coherence. I mean, the coherence and cohesion criterion will unfortunately have to suffer here, or you under real exam conditions. So please remember that you really have to develop and support your second argument for what you state. Anyway, you have great ideas. You simply need to organize your thoughts and make them more coherent. Just make sure that you provide a clear example, and make sure that your topic sentence for the paragraph, the first sentence of the paragraph, clearly predicts the development and structure of the rest of the paragraph. I mean, this idea doesn't have to come as a surprise at the end. And of course, you need a concluding sentence, and then the paragraph will be complete. Again, please revise the acronym for the essay, and this will help you greatly. In conclusion, I totally disagree that physical labor should be equally rewarded as they work, as their work. That requires a high degree of qualification because it will hinder academic progress and make factories go out of business, thereby increasing unemployment. Okay, great. I think I spotted a couple of phrasal verbs: go out of business, and then you had some other. I don't really remember which ones, but again, if you see any other phrasal verbs, try to replace them by single word verbs, usually of Latin origin. Why? Because they're more academic. Anyway, you have absolutely great ideas. You have good paragraphing, introduction to body paragraphs and conclusion. Yes, you really have to reorganize your ideas in the second body paragraph, and maybe write a concluding sentence in both paragraphs, right? So perhaps It doesn't have to be a thus sentence. It can be a therefore sentence. Um, like you could have stopped here. You could have stopped here, and this paragraph could have been complete, right? But for some reason, you chose to add a second idea, and which confused the hell out of me. Excuse my language. Anyway, Mustafa, you have good writing style, and your command of vocabulary and grammar is quite is quite fine. Just make sure that you pay attention to the corrections I made and the suggestions that I had for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in your reply. And that's it. All the best of luck.